Hey guys, so I have another case for you. This time it's the Iguju i5. So it's another Korean case, and in the video description I'll just put a link to the website. It should be pretty self-explanatory. They have lots of pictures, and you don't need to be able to read Korean to understand. So let's take a look at the specs and do a quick overview of the case. So this case's outside dimensions are about 11 inches long, 8¼ inches wide, and 11 inches high, which makes it not quite a square case, but it also makes it very small. So let's look at what you can actually fit inside of the case. So because of this case's size, we're pretty limited on what we can actually put inside of it. So in this case, the motherboards you can use are micro ATX and ITX boards. And we're also limited for CPU cooler height, GPU length, and power supply length. So for those, we're looking at a cooler height of 75 millimeters, a length on the GPU of 255 millimeters, and the PSU has to be about 160 millimeters. Now, I did some measurements inside the case, and this isn't a very hard rule, but because of the space limitations, you really want to stick with what the case manufacturer recommends. As well as this, there's space to put one 3.5-inch hard drive and one 2.5-inch SSD. So this case also comes with a 120 millimeter fan pre-installed on the front of the case, as well as a 80 millimeter fan that you can install on the bottom of the case. And the 120 millimeter fan is an LED fan. So we have the 80 millimeter fan, a speaker connector, and some little plugs to put in the front panel should you want to, as well as more than enough screws for pretty much anything. You'll definitely have screws left over, a couple zip ties, and a few thumb screws. Okay, so I thought you could get a better view of the case this way, and I can explain a little bit more in depth about the case. So we have all the side panels off here, and these side panels, these tempered glass panels, are pretty thick. They're probably about 5 or 6 millimeters thick. They're pretty nice. And this is the front one, and it has this sort of etching on it. Cool little thing there. The whole case is metal, so all this is metal. It feels really solid. The only parts that are plastic is this thing here. So you just screw in your power supply with this, shove it in the slot like that. This one is plastic, and as well as the little catch right here for the PCIe slot. The little clip for the PCIe slot is also plastic. That's plastic as well. Other than that, everything's metal. And I was actually going to put a build in this case, but the issue was that the power supply length has a requirement. And I was thinking, oh, okay, it's going to be tight, whatever. It's not a really big deal, right? Well, this is the power supply I was going to put in there. And in retrospect, I guess I didn't realize how small this case was. So here's the power supply right there. And it's basically like a quarter of the size of the entire case. And this isn't an extremely big power supply. This is an 800 watt power supply. It's a Cougar GX. It's kind of old, but I've been using it forever as a bench power supply, and I got a new one. So I thought I'd just put this in a build, but it doesn't fit this thing. So I couldn't really do a build for you guys. So yeah, sorry about that. So like I said before, this case does come with the 80 millimeter fan, and it's been a while since I've actually seen an 80 millimeter fan. Been a few years actually, but yeah, you just put it right here. It mounts at the bottom of the case like that, somewhere around there like that. And the thing is, so you have your power supply here, and then your CPU cooler and your motherboard go down here, right? So power supply over the main board. So you're gonna need to get air from somewhere. So I suspect that's what this fan is for, is to push air into the case. And then this fan is actually a intake as well. The fan on the front here. And it is RGB, but it has a weird male connector. It's only a 2-pin connector. I don't know if the camera will make that out. It's right there. So I'm not exactly sure what you're supposed to plug that into. I checked all the adapters and cables it came with. It came with a lot of stuff, but nothing that would plug into that. So yeah, the fan is supposed to be RGB. I'm not really sure how and what way. I'll have to look into that more once I do a build with this case. And the LEDs are the same you would find like on an RGB strip. You're a 12 volt RGB LEDs. So I have no reason to assume they're not RGB, but I just never seen this connector before, at least on a computer case. So yeah, there's that. But overall, all the holes match up, so you're not getting some off-brand Chinese made case that you have to bend the back of it to screw in your video card or anything like that. It's very well made, and it's pretty decent case actually. And another cool thing is it comes with these plugs, these little rubber plugs here. Let's see if I can get one out. For your front panel, they just kind of, you can just kind of put them in the front panel, keep dust or whatever out of the connectors. So that's pretty nice. I will say though, this case only has one USB 3 port. So I don't know if you can make that out, but it's right there. So you're not going to get a lot of front panel connectivity. You could always use USB 2, but it's 2019. Everything should be USB 3 as far as I'm concerned. But that's not how case manufacturers see it apparently. So the only real complaints I have is all this. So I guess the first complaint is the fan. It's a cool fan, but it's using a Matx connector. And yeah, there's no PWM on this fan. So if you use a Matx connector, the fan's going to blow 100% all the time, which is fine for performance. But it makes me wonder, you can spring for like an extra cable and a different connector. Like it probably costs the same amount to have a 3-pin fan or even a 4-pin fan in here. And as well as this. So like these cables, look at that. Look at these cables. Look at the length of that. Like it's almost all the way to the camera. And I mean, this is a small form factor case, so why are you giving me full-size tower case length of cables? I don't really understand this. This just makes cable management a pain in the... So, yeah. Those are my only real complaints, honestly. And they're pretty minor. I mean, the cable management's probably the biggest one. So those are the specs in a quick overview and up close on this case. Let's talk price. So in Korea, since this is a Korean case, this is about a $50 case. At $50, it's an outstanding deal, but I don't think anybody is going to go to Korea just for this, right? So online, you can buy it for about $100. And I'll actually put the Amazon link down below. I looked for a site in the US that would ship it. I couldn't find one. So availability is probably really limited to in Asia. But I don't come across a really nice case for $100 that often. And this thing is built like a tank. It's awesome. It's very well engineered. Nothing is misaligned or anything like that. So I just want to do a review on it and let people know about this case. It's a really nice case. That doesn't tend to happen as often as it should. So if you're looking for an ITX case and you can somehow try and get it for cheap or cheaper, then you should probably do that. So if you like this video, put a like down below or a comment or a question or whatever you want, and let me know. Until next time, bye.